Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prowess Goes Live, where we help people learn business management. We'll teach you how to use all of that to start your own business where you can be a fractional operations partner, and then we match you with your ideal client so that you can have the flexibility and the freedom and be in charge of your financial trajectory. So with that being said, we always like to bring in different guests who can help you get from where you are now to where you want to be. And I'm a big fan of show versus tell. I could tell you all day long how to go do something, but what is so much more powerful is if I show you examples of people who have done it. And that's why I'm really excited today to really just feature someone who has done the work and continues to do the work. So hello, everyone. I'm Ashley Connell, CEO and founder of Prowess Project. And for our starter question today that I want you to put into the chat, starter question, tell me one thing of self-care that you have done recently. What is one thing of self-care that you have done recently? And the reason why I brought this up is, and I don't even know if this would be self-care, but Caitlin who is our guest today, just showed us this amazing like heatless curl wrap thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. It would save me so much time. So I had another question, but I like this one more. What is something self-care wise that you have been doing? Went for a walk, hike yesterday for the first time in over a week. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Went swimming. Awesome. I started using Retin-A. And I love it. And so that's my self-care. All right. Oh, Wayward Best. Love it. Love it. I call that my baby, and I just put her in and walk around. All right, y'all. So without further ado, I am going to bring up Miss Caitlin Gold. Welcome, 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 Caitlin.
Hello. Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, I've been so pumped. Pumped. Okay, to get us started, Caitlin, I want you to give us the background of your career. Talk to us about your career trajectory and how you ended up here.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a normal trajectory, that's for sure. So I started working. Oh gosh, how far back do I go? Let me think. Okay, so I'm an actor. That's why I moved to LA to be an actor. I moved out in 2010, and I was bartending at the time, and I was feeling really depressed because bartending is depressing. And I started working as a fitness instructor because I also have a background in dance. That studio got bought out by someone else, and they wanted to build an entirely different type of fitness studio, and they had no processes. They had nothing except an idea. So I started managing the studio, started building all their processes, started managing their team, hiring their team, firing their team, which is never fun. And we scaled from like 1 location to 6 locations in the span of like 2 years. Yeah, which was wild.
Wow.
Wild growth. Wild growth.
That is insane.
Yeah. And then the pandemic hit, and all the studios closed. Not all of them. I think 4 of them closed. But we had to shut down. We couldn't, I didn't really have a job anymore because we weren't open. So I took some time, and then I got a job working as the director of operations for an online business coach, and just honed more skills in the remote world, because previously all my skill set had been in like brick and mortar spaces. So I learned a lot working as a director of ops for, she's a solopreneur, but she had a team. It was a very small team. So learning a lot about the coaching world, how to help with courses, figuring out what that kind of strategy looks like, learning a lot more about tech, a lot of different tech tools, because she also had shiny object syndrome. So it was always like trying something new, as most CEOs do have shiny object syndrome. And so then in 2022, I decided that I wanted to start my own business. So I did. So now I do that for myself, for other people. Yeah.
Ah, amazing. Okay, so when you found Prowess and what we did, what called you to take the training? Like, what did you hope to get out of it?
Right. So I had been working in operations for at that point, like 7 years. How long? 7 years? I don't know, 7 years or something. But I had actually, so I'd had my business for a year when I found Prowess. And I had had a really bad experience with a client, like a really demoralizing experience. And it made me really question whether I knew what I was doing. And so when I found Prowess, I was like, you know what? I want to take this to either reconfirm that I do know what I'm doing and or learn some stuff that I don't know. And the AI aspect was really appealing to me and has come in handy now that I've gone through the program. Like I use it for the jumping off point for every client, which is great. Um, so those were the reasons. One, it was like to confirm, no, you're not an idiot. You know what you're talking about. Two was to learn what I could from you and Leah and like all the training that you guys have provided. And three was really learning the AI because AI was not something I had really stepped into at all before that.
Okay, so tell me about that. You said that now you kick off every project with AI. Say more.
Yeah. So I've had to like tweak it, right?
Yeah.
Because the audit that you all have us use and the amazing, like, just, I can't even, just the base that Leah and you have created in
Leverage
Airtable,
locator.
the leverage
Yeah, it's
locator,
a
like specifically, it's so robust and it does take time, especially if you're working with smaller businesses who are like, I don't know what a 5-year plan is. What do you mean? You know, so then you have to build the document to then do the thing. So I started out using that and having that be a part of my package. But I found that people, they don't, when they're coming to me, at least for me, because a lot of my experience is in tech stack. That's where a
mm,
lot, I've worked in, I don't even know how many CRMs. I don't even know how many, like I've just worked, because that's originally what I started doing when I first started my business was just tech stack, custom tech stack for clients. And so now, um, but when clients come to me, they're not looking for like an overhaul of their whole business to start. They have one or two dire pain points that they're like, I'm drowning or I have this huge problem. And so I don't actually need the whole leverage locator. I can, because of the way it's set up, I can piece it out and say, great, I'm only going to use the systems part of the leverage locator now. And that also brings the price point down for my clients. So they're not as freaked out, you know, spending who knows how much money every month. Um, but having the leverage locator and saying, great, if after this first 3-month engagement, you like working together, I can throw the rest of it in and then the package can get spread out
yeah.
over 6 months. So it's still not like, because that's the problem I've run into working with solopreneurs is often budget is like a real concern.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
So,
know,
just for everyone who's listening, what Caitlin is talking about is we found a pain point for clients who hire people for ops, and it was they have a problem and they think they know the answer or they think they know what the ops person needs to do, but that's not always the case. And so oftentimes that could be a symptom of a bigger problem. So Mastermind Leah, she built out, as Caitlin was saying, this whole tool that takes every aspect of your business or your client's business and helps you utilize ChatGPT to figure out what are the top 3 things that you should go do with that client right away that's going to move the needle the furthest. Now, what I love that you're doing, Caitlin, is you're making it your own because that's how it gets so powerful. Is hey, you don't need to do the full thing. Maybe they just care about client delivery. They want to know how do I shorten the time from the time that someone starts with us and gets value. you could use the leverage locator just for that piece. And so I love that you're taking it to the next level and not just using it like for the whole shebang, which then allows you to package your package your packages, you know what I'm trying to say, your offers, for the people who are coming to you or the people that you're trying to focus on.
Yeah. And it's been something I discovered through trial and error, doing lots of disco calls that then don't sign for, usually it's been budgetary reasons at this point lately.
Yeah.
It's not really been anything else. So trying to figure out a way to still provide value, but also not shortchange myself and undercut myself at the same time and stress myself out financially or with my time. And that's the best way I found to do it. And what I love about the leverage locator, it really, even though it does take time, if you're going to do the whole thing, it does take at least for me, it takes a while. Is that you can piece it out and you can do piecemeal. So if you sign a client for like a long-term contract, you don't have to do it all at once. Like you don't have to sit for 10 hours and do it all at once. You can do it. We're going to start with it. If you know what their top 3 priorities are, you can say, okay, great. We're going to start with the systems one. Then we're going to go into client delivery. Then we're going to go into whatever else you're dealing with. And you can get to the website. Yeah, you can get to the SEO, but you don't have to do it in those 3 months. You can do it later. It's the way it's built is like very thoughtful, I think.
Bravo, Leah. Bravo. Yes, it truly is. And what I liked about what you also said is you just locked yourself in for a longer time working with them because you kind of gave them like testers and pieces of what's to come if they stay with you. Do you know what I mean? Let's start for the first 3 months this. And then we can move to this because we know that this is also a problem and it will get you here. And so I really love the way that you're thinking about this. And the whole reason why I wanted to even begin it with this was because AI is changing the game for businesses, period. We know that. That's a duh, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is even more powerful for all of the businesses that we are all going after. It is the remote first services type businesses, whether it's coach, consultant, agency, what have you. And being a whiz at AI and not only being able to come in and say, yeah, I can implement some AI for you, but knowing how to take it with your own knowledge and experience and wisdom and strategy and then roll it out is everything. And that's what I heard that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. Last week, I just gave a workshop on hiring and training team and like how to hire, how to train, how to fire, unfortunately. And one of the questions on that call was, what about AI? Like, are we as operators or integrators or OBMs, are we going to be extinct? Are we going to be out of a job? And what I think is really important to note is that like AI is still technology and it breaks down and it makes mistakes and there are problems and you have to train it. And like, I was just sitting in on a masterclass yesterday and the woman couldn't get her microphone to work for like 10 minutes at the top of the call. And like that happens, that's real world. And so getting the training to know how to train a chatbot, getting the training on like, okay, how can I leverage AI, not only for my own business, but for my clients' businesses, it's going to make you, it just makes you more viable as like a business. And it keeps you around longer because everyone's going to say, well, can't I just get AI to do it? It's like, sure, you could go for it. When it breaks down, you can call me. When it breaks down, give me a call. When you run into an issue with it, give me a call. Like if someone's going to give me objections like that, I'm just gonna be like, go ahead. You want to hire someone from the Philippines for $5 an hour? Go for it.
And you know what I just heard you say, Caitlin? Confidence, 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 confidence. I know my worth. That's what I heard. And I think, I mean, you are exactly right. I see all of these companies out there that are like, I will, AIify your business. that's not good enough. That's
No.
not good enough. You gotta have the brain. And AI changes so quickly. Are you
So
gonna be
quickly.
running on last year's ChatGPT in 3 years from now?
Right.
Because you're a dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're a
So you
dinosaur.
have to have someone, and AI is a robot, right? Like there is when you're dealing with service-based businesses, there has to be nuance. And you're only going to get that from a person. You can train a chat all day long and it will give you answers, but when there's a specific question, sometimes you need a person.
You absolutely need the person. And that's
Yeah.
not even like with the whole emotional intelligence aspect of this either. That's a
Yeah.
whole other reason why AI doesn't hold a flame.
Yeah.
So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. First with how, okay, with your background,
Mm-hmm.
with going through our business management program,
Mm-hmm.
and then with your knowledge of AI and what you can go do, what do you call yourself?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I, you know, it goes back to what Leah says and you say in the trainings all the time. I always forget, Swiss Army knives. I think
Yeah.
that's what you guys call us because you can do everything. You know, I start to feel like I am, what's that phrase where you're like good at everything but a master of none? I forget what the phrase is.
Oh,
It's like a common phrase. I have a lot of moments of that. You know, confidence is key, but like, I don't want you guys to think I don't have um, imposter syndrome. I 100% do,
we all
right?
do.
We all
Yeah.
do. It's a thing. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to get back to the question. So, uh, OBM is encompassing, but I think depending on your skills and what you've done, there are a lot of other ways you could do it. There's a lot of other things you could call yourself. Fractional COO, if you have that experience, and they do provide you some training in prowess for that. You know, a consultant. Like, so now I call my agency an operations and systems consulting agency. I don't have a title for myself because I'm still trying to work it out. But for SEO purposes, if we're talking about that, in my socials, I put fractional COO, OBM, operations and systems expert. Because a lot of people don't know what an OBM is.
Right.
They have no idea.
And, you know, I love that you're saying this about you're still trying to figure out, because I think that's so true and so real. And as we go through the entrepreneur journey, we're always trying to figure it out. We're always trying
Yeah.
to not only like name who we are, but then also see where the industry is headed and get on top of that and be a little aspirational. And
Yeah.
so that really is a part of the goal that Leah and I set. Like, can our training that you went through be a good foundation?
Yeah.
Just be that foundation of, hey, the world is going remote. We know this. Every company is using AI. We know this. How do you run a online business? Because whether it is a in-person business or not, 90% of it is still online, because that's
Yeah.
where our world is headed. And so
Yeah.
I love that you are able to take what you learned, your background, and really specialize to where you want to go. That, I think,
Yeah.
is power. And I'm
Thank you.
freaking pumped for you. Yeah, I
Thank you.
truly am.
I appreciate that. And yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do think prowess. Yes, I have an operations background. I don't have like a 9 to 5 background, right? So that's where my imposter syndrome kicks up. And you guys know, because I went on like a whole hour-long call with Leah being like, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, so, but I do think even if you're like pivoting into OBM, even if you're like, hey, I was a sales rep and now I want to do this, or what, I was a stay-at-home mom and now I have freedom. I want to start working again, whatever the reason is. I do think prowess gives you a really solid foundation. And then it's up to you, one, how you use the training, and then two, what training you take after and beyond that once you dial in what you love to do. You know what
I
I
think
mean?
that's
But
so true.
it's a great foundation, whether you're coming in like I am, just to like reaffirm things and learn new skills, or if you're like, I'm starting from the beginning. I think
Yeah.
it's great. That's all. That's all I
Thank
was gonna
you.
say. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to do a quick shout out to Leah. You've mentioned Leah several times, not
Yeah.
only like her brilliance in designing technology, but also just she is so wonderful to be that sounding board. And
Mhm.
the thing is, Leah doesn't mince words. She doesn't lie. Like, yes, she'll say
Mm-mm.
something to you nicely, but she's not going to just like, blow
Mm-mm.
smoke. That's what I love about Leah too. So, thank you, Leah. I know you're listening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
So we do have a question. It says,
Okay.
client engagement is my struggle right now. What is your view on the best way to get good clients? In-person networking,
Mm.
LinkedIn DMs. I've seen your videos on LinkedIn too. Do you think you have been driving more engagement? I know it's a hot topic on LinkedIn right now, but I hate videos. I love it.
Oh, is it Ria? Is that how I pronounce it?
Yeah.
I hope I didn't butcher your name. That's so nice that you watch my videos. I this is the struggle. This is the struggle that every entrepreneur is going to have, which is like, how do I find more clients? Um, I've been having that struggle too, to be perfectly honest. Like, it's been hard. Um, I think you have to cast your net relatively wide. Um, I don't know that many places that do in-person networking anymore. I've gone to a couple events and they were like awful. You just walk
Yeah.
away with a stack of business cards from people you'd never want to work with and who are only there to try and get you to sign on to work with them, as opposed to looking to make genuine connections. So I think it's all about relationship marketing. I think
Mhm.
that is the number one thing because people trust people who are recommended by people they trust. You know what I mean? So like tapping
Yep.
into your close network, tapping into your like second circle, tapping into I've done a couple different types of coaching programs and they're all called different things, but there's like three levels of people. There's like your close network, your kind of network of people like maybe you went to college with and you don't talk to them that often, but like you
Yeah.
follow them on Instagram, right?
Right.
And then there's a group, there's the cold network of people you don't know. So like tapping into that first and second network is really key. That's how I got my first client. I DM'd someone who was kind of in my world, but like I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And it was right around Christmas. And I was like, hey, Merry Christmas. Like, how have you been? And I wasn't even pitching him. I was just asking how he was. Because sales is conversation. Sales is about having conversations with people and establishing a relationship. And then just saying, hey, if you know anyone who's looking, this is what I'm doing now. Usually they're going to say, oh, I don't know anyone, but I'll keep you in mind. Or they're going to say, oh, I do know someone. I'll connect you. Or in this case, he was like, oh, I'm great. Merry Christmas. What have you been up to? I said, oh, I'm actually starting a business. He said, what kind? And I said, at the time, it was like, it's like tech stack consulting. Like I'm streamlining, systems. He goes, oh, I need that for my business. Let's have coffee in the new year. And then we had coffee and I signed him the contract and he signed that day. And we worked together for like 6 months. So I think that's the first place, is like tapping into that first and second circle of people. And then unfortunately, you do got to be on social media these days because no one has a business card anymore. They have their social handles.
So true.
That's where people do their research. I'm like, if I'm going to go buy, I don't know. We were just talking about TikTok shop before this call. If I see something online that I'm like, oh, I'm interested, I'm going to go look for that business on their social media and I'm going to search and I'm going to see, what do people say in the comments? What are the reviews? Are people like, I don't know if you've all seen those Rise Coffee, the mushroom coffee ads.
Oh, girl, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Right. So like, I like to go onto their account. I'm like, does this actually work? I've never tried it. I still don't know. But if you go into the comments and I do a deep dive into comments. Are people saying like, this is crap, I took it and it didn't do anything? Or are they saying like, oh my God, I love this? And then what's the percentage of crappy reviews to good reviews? But that's how people do their research on businesses now. So you kind of have to be on the social. And I hate it. Even though I'm an actor, I hate being on camera, which is ironic. I don't know. I think it's because as an actor, you're not taught to look at the camera. You're taught to look and so it's just a very uncomfortable, awkward thing. And I'm going to warn you, Ria, imposter syndrome is going to come up a lot when you start doing social media, because you're going to be like, no one's going to listen to me. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, who's going to listen to me? But you just got to push through it, because you do know what you're doing. You will, once you go through prowess, you will know what you're doing. Like, you will.
You absolutely, and who cares?
Yeah, and who cares?
Someone thinks that you look like an idiot. The amount of people that, like, my friends who made jokes about me about being on social media, like, to my face, not in a mean way, but just like in a ha ha ha. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Part of my job.
Yeah. I had someone ask me, so what? You're going to be like an influencer now? And I said, I was like, well, if it helps my business, sure. Like, sure, why not? I don't, it took me a good, like, month or two of, like, actually steadily creating content where I was like, oh yeah, I don't care. Also, I don't know if you see in my videos, I use one of these guys, a little microphone.
Oh. Yeah, I think I'm going to start doing that.
And honestly, awesome. I call it my emotional support mic. Because it gives me something to do. And I do, like, all those influencers, they do use their microphones. So why can't I? And it just gives me something to do with my hands so I don't feel like an idiot. So if you need support, get one of these, because they're great. They're like $10.
Oh my God. You need a TikTok shop. You need a TikTok shop. You need an Amazon shop. Like, I swear to God. Like, that's your second source of revenue right there.
Yeah. But I do think, Rhea, to answer your question, long story short, you kind of need to cast the net wide. You need to be doing networking, whether it's in person or in, like, online groups. You need to be doing LinkedIn cold outreach. You need to be reaching out to your second and first and second circles. You need to be out there on social media prepping, like, presenting yourself as an expert, because that is going to be your business card. That is where people are going to look at you. People don't really go to websites anymore, I don't think. First of all, they're going to go to your social media, and then if you have your website linked, if they're intrigued enough from your socials, then they'll check your website. But it's not. It's true. Just, so that's kind of where I go for lead generation, if that helps.
I really like that a lot. And then I'm seeing in the comments, like, y'all, we are leaning in hard to AI, because this is so trite at this point, but it really is the future, especially for people in the ops space. So there will be even more on that. So there was another question I wanted. Something else that I'm curious if you've tried, because I've heard it working for other people. Let's say you're on a discovery call and you've worked hard on your 3 different offers or 3 different pricing or whatever. And someone just doesn't feel ready. Have you ever tried to say, what would it need to look like for you to feel comfortable today to say yes?
Yeah, for sure.
And how does that go?
I don't know if I phrase it that way.
Okay.
Because I don't do set packages, just because. Okay. And I do custom, because I don't do them based on hours. I do them based on deliverables personally. That's just how I like to do it. Because I have been in this business for a long time. Setting up your back end is not going to take me 12 hours. It's going to take me 2. But the value of that is more than 2 hours of work.
Absolutely.
So I do it based on deliverables. But to answer your question, yes, I will say at the end, I like to handle objections throughout the call, right? So I'll have the disco call, and then I'll say, great, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my magic, and then I'm going to come back to you with a proposal. Why don't we get on a call? How's 2 days from now at 10 a.m., right? You book them on the proposal call when you're on the disco call. Lock it in. On the proposal call, then I'll say, these are the things, these are the priorities we identified for you. These are your challenges. These are my specific recommendations of what I think we should do. Then I'll go through the 3 options. The first option will give them some of what they want. The second option will give them exactly what they want. And the third option, I like to dangle of, like, where you could go if you really invested, And I had a disco call once with someone who I was like, here's the 2 options. The third option is for, like, really, if you want a fractional COO, I don't really think you guys are there yet. I don't think you need that. You already have someone who's in that role. And she goes, well, but she's not very good. And I was like, oh, okay. So at the end of that,
you never know.
You never
Put
know.
it out there.
At the end of that, I'll
there.
say something like, what are your questions? Because assume they're going to have questions, right? And then I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, this was a waste of my time, 10 being, sign me up right now, where would you say you are? And they'll say, like, 7, 8, 6, whatever. Why does it keep doing a thumbs up? And then I'll usually say, great, what would it take to get you to a 10?
Oh, I love that.
Right? Because it's a conversation. If they're like, well, 100%. I just was hoping that it would have this, you'd be like, oh, well, it totally can. That's not a problem. We can just shift some priorities and make that a priority first. That's totally fine. Right? Because usually there's only 2 problems. There's usually either money is a problem, which is like financials, the budget is too much, or like they're scared. For whatever other reason, right? So handling those questions on the call, and if they're still not ready to jump in, I'll say, great, let's book a follow-up call. How's Monday at 7 or whatever, 6? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I have a 3rd call with them if they're still not ready. But usually if you say, what would it take to get you there? Because it's not about hard selling them into something. It's like you have a solution to a problem that they really are struggling with. So how can we come to a place where, like, you feel like all your fears and worries are answered so that you feel confident in moving forward? So it's not about selling. It's about, like, I want to help you. Because there are a lot of people out there who do what we do, who don't have integrity, or who really don't have the skill set to follow through on it, or whatever the reason. And, like, it is a disservice to that potential client if you let them go with someone who's going to, like, just take them for a ride.
Y'all, underscore that, highlight, star, put fireworks, whatever you got to do, because yes, we take pride in the fact that we aren't just this course that you can whiz through that kind of, like, gives you some SOPs and off you go. Like, we really do want to build out the strategy behind and have the support for you. And we are seeing that the people who graduate are of that caliber. They are mini COOs. You can leave Prowess if you had the confidence and maybe a client or 2 under your belt. I feel relatively confident that you could be a fractional COO for a company that's doing under 5 million. A services online business. I'm pretty confident in that. So again, I really love that. Show up in integrity, show up in confidence, and work with them.
Yeah.
Work with them.
It doesn't always mean they sign, right? The woman who was like, oh, our COO isn't very good. She verbally said yes, and then she never signed, right? But she also wasn't the decision maker in that company. So that's the other thing to note is when you're doing your intake for your discovery calls, I always put, are you the sole decision maker? If not, who else should I invite to this call? And people lie, you guys.
Of course.
They lie on those forums all the time. So just know, like, even though I can sit here and be like, well, this is what I do, this is how I structure it, it doesn't always guarantee that they're going to sign, but, like, it's good practice either way.
It really is. And think about how much you've learned.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And think about also, like, how much you're able to zero in on what you do want to do.
Yeah.
And the work you do want to take on.
Yeah.
I think that is worth its weight. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a second. Any questions from the audience? I have a bazillion. You like that? Bazillion.
Yeah, I do.
Any questions? And Leah, as always, if there's something that comes to mind for you, please let us know. What is one of the biggest misconceptions of someone who is getting into the fractional ops business management space? What is the biggest misconceptions that you see out there?
Misconception of the people getting into it, or misconception of the fractional space from the outside, or both?
Fractional, kind of. I was asking the latter, but I like both.
Okay. That's a really good question. I'd say the misconception as someone getting into the fractional space, well, there's two, and they're contradictory.
Oh, I
One
love
is that
that.
it's gonna be so easy. It's not. Business entrepreneurship is hard. Doesn't matter what your background is, doesn't matter if you come from a huge 9 to 5 or you have a massive network. It's just hard, right? So that's one misconception. The other, and now it's out of my brain, and it was contradictory. Oh, the other is that it's going to be hard because there's no opportunity. That's also not true.
Right.
We are moving in a fractional space. Businesses don't want to spend the money to pay taxes on you. They don't want to spend the money to like pay your health insurance. They don't want to do it. And so there is opportunity. You just have to find it. And that can be hard. So just keeping that, but it's not hard because it doesn't exist. I'd say
That's right.
that's that. I think from the outside looking in, I don't know. I guess maybe it's like the biggest misconception about fractional work as a whole is that, oh, so what, you come in, you have like a meeting or two, and I'm supposed to pay you $5,000? Like, what am I getting out of it? Right. I don't think people necessarily understand what, like, I had a conversation with someone, they're like, I don't know what a fractional means. People still don't really know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because there's that bell curve of when things are,
Yep.
right? We're at the beginning of when awareness is happening around what that is, and the world is moving that way. And you can now work for a company that's based around the other side of the world because you're remote. It's not an issue, time dependent, and what their needs are dependent. So I think there's still a misconception about, like, I don't know if it's misconception or just like not understanding what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the whole like, well, it's a fraction of my time that you're paying for, but you're really paying for my expertise, but not at the price point that you're used to paying or that would be normally expected. Because like a fractional COO rate can go up to like what, $500, $600, $700 an hour if you're working in like a normal traditional business model. But if you can get that for X amount an hour and you're not paying all these other things, especially if you don't think you need someone full time, then what's the problem? Right. So it's an education. It's our job to educate people, I think, on that. But yeah, I guess misconception is like, oh, so you just come in and I'm supposed to pay you $5,000 for like an hour of your time. So it's training people and teaching them to know what it actually means to be a fractional. So I think that's probably it.
Absolutely. And I think that you did a really great way of explaining it. Oh, no. Fractional is what you're going to get. You're either going to get this, you're going to get this, or you're going to get this. And that's why I do my proposal. So I can really show you what you're going to get. So I really love that you do that. And then I also wanted to touch on the hard thing. It is hard. No doubt about it.
It's hard.
I think anything that's worth it is hard, especially when it's new.
Yeah.
And especially when it's new and when it is uncomfortable, which is putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I am not the kind of person who wants to work for someone else's business. I don't want to be beholden to your timetable, your schedule.
Preach.
I just can't. It's not in my body. It's not in my bones. I can't do it. I will gladly take on the uncomfortable, the hard, so that I am not beholden to someone else. I woke up last week on Thursday and I was so sick. I was like, I'm not getting out of bed today. And I could do that because I have my own business. I was on the East Coast for 6 weeks and I was able to work and it didn't matter. And I could travel and go visit family and do this and that because I work for myself. Yes, I have clients and I'm beholden to them, but I work for myself. So there is a trade-off in that you do have to do lead generation. You do have to find clients. You do have to have a sales, those sales conversations. You do have to put yourself on social media and like get yourself out there and confront some demons in that space. And there's going to be a lot of other things that come up, right? There's the imposter syndrome. There's like fears that come up. There's a lot of stuff that comes up with it because it just digs it all up. But for me, it's worth it. 100%.
Yeah. I love how you said that. Pick your hard. Pick your hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. That's so true. That's life. I do want to get to this last question. I know that we pretty much are at time. Sorry, I could talk to you all day. Okay. Explaining the benefits of operations. How do you explain what fractional ops is? I have a perspective and I can't wait to hear yours, and I can go first if you need me to.
Well, I struggle with this too, right? Because it's not sexy. It's not marketing. It's not fun and sexy and out there. And like, people don't naturally think, oh, with marketing, I'm going to have a return on my investment. If I invest in this marketing freelancer, they're guaranteeing me X amount increased engagement, X amount of leads, they're seeing dollar signs when they look at a marketing freelancer. When they look at an ops person, they're like crickets. It's just like crickets and question marks that come up, right? So the way I have been trying lately is to say, look, ops is not sexy. I get it. But when you have it, you don't know when it's working well, you don't recognize it. When it's not working well, because everything is falling apart. So the ops is what keeps your train on the track. But not only that, it is there is a return on investment, not only because I'm keeping things streamlined and we're cutting your overhead and, all the SOPs so that hiring isn't a nightmare and but also, especially if you're coming at it from a fractional COO role, I'm looking where we are here and I'm looking where you want to go in 5-10 years. And I'm saying, great, here's the roadmap to get there. What do we need to build? Here's what we need to build to get there. And also looking backwards, oh, there's a hole, there's a hole, there's a hole. Let's clean those up. So I'm plugging your revenue holes and I'm building the track for where you need to get to go. So it's just training people to. And it's hard because people don't get it because it's not a fun part. It's not fun, quote unquote, right? Like for a CEO, it's not fun for the CEO to think about like, oh, I have to think about my KPIs. God, why? Ugh, they don't want to do it. But like, I guarantee you McDonald's has KPIs. I guarantee you all those big businesses have KPIs and they are trying to hit them every single month on month. So, it's positioning operations as a way of, it's still going to make you money. It's not just cutting costs. It's finding opportunity where you are missing where revenue is falling through the cracks. Like I had a client, she had a great offer, but it was like $12K a year. And people, her ICP was like broke creatives.
Yeah.
I was like, you're capped on how many people are going to make that investment. Why don't we have a lower ticket offer to catch those people? And she was like, oh, that's a good idea. So we built it. And now it's like the cornerstone of her business. And it's a natural funnel. Once they start making that money, they can then invest in the higher tier offer, right? So like, it's being that person who's not just streamlining, cutting, managing team. It's also saying, hey, here's some places that we could go that's going to make you money. If that helps. Okay.
Bravo. Standing ovation. Yeah. Love. One more thing that I would add, whereas a marketing person gives you more money, an ops person gives the CEO more money, wait, hold on. Whereas a marketing person gives the CEO more money, the ops fractional ops person gives the CEO more time.
Yes, time is definitely a big one.
And you will see that the bigger the companies that you work with they almost don't care about the money as much as they care about the time.
Yes, that is a big one. And the thing is, right, time can make you money. I had a client, we saved his team like 20 hours or 10 hours a week or something. I can't remember. He tripled his business in a year.
Yep.
Because they had that time to then reinvest into their marketing, into
Bingo.
their social presence, into lead generation. So like time is a big one. Time is a big one. And I think it also depends on where you're at, what type of CEO you're working with, right?
That's
like
true.
The solopreneurs care about their time because they're doing it alone.
Yeah.
The ones with a team care about their time, but they really do also care about that. What's my ROI financially? Absolutely. And then the mid-sized companies and up, they don't, because they've usually delegated at that point to some level. These are the ones that you're going to be doing more fractional COO work as opposed to like implementing for. They're going to care about like, why am I investing this much if I need to see the financial ROI. So it also depends on that level, but time is a big one, especially for OBMs, because a lot of the time the niche for an OBM is that solopreneur entrepreneur with a small team. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh gosh, Caitlin, I could talk to you forever, ever. It's so fantastic. You are just doing so wonderful. I am incredibly grateful that you are a part of the Prowess like orbit. I love absolutely watching you all the time, and so great.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. Well, I love you guys.
Yes. Well, thank you. Is there any last thing that you would want to share with everyone before we hop off today?
Yes. I would say, like I said, I think Prowess gives you a really solid foundation. And honestly, even if you don't move forward with like being an OBM, you learn a lot in the program. Like I've been in the business for a long time. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from it. So I think education is never a wasted investment. That's what I'll say. And even if you decide it's not for you, at least you found out. And the way I look at it, if I have my own business, anything I invest in that's education or coaching or, whatever, it's a tax write-off. So who cares?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
So, yeah, and I think being an entrepreneur, you have to naturally be willing to invest in yourself.
Yeah. That's the only thing that you can take with you is your skills. And with AI, I really think that the more strategy that you understand, the more dangerous you're going to be and valuable you're going to be in the future.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I say. Not to like hard sell Prowess, but I just, no. I'm a big believer in investing in your own knowledge and your own education. I believe in investing in myself because that's what it is. So I'm constantly like signing up for things, signing up for a coaching program. I signed up for a coaching program that only helps their clients, their clientele is social media marketers. And I signed up with them because I know social media is my blind spot. So why am I not working with people who that's their zone of genius?
So true.
So I'm a big believer. I'm just a big believer in like investing in yourself. I think it's important, especially as an entrepreneur, because it does make you more dangerous the more you know.
Yeah. Awesome, y'all. Well, thank you. If you liked this, you will love our free masterclass next week, where we are going through really like what it's like to have the foundation of online business management and where you can go from there, who your clients are, and what you do from them, how you take your skills that you already have and utilize them to start your own business, where you can have that freedom where it's a Tuesday and you don't want to get out of bed. Guess what? I'm not getting out of bed. Choose your heart.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, y'all. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.